What's the moment you knew your engagement was over? Story time. I called off my engagement after my fiance asked for a break to explore her ex. So, I sold our house and disappeared. Hey everyone, after what feels like forever, I, 27M, finally decided it was time to talk about what's been going on in my life. Here's the thing though, I truly believed I was marrying the love of my life, Tessa, 26F. We had been together for 4 years, and for the most part, I thought we were solid. But now, I'm sitting here wondering why I didn't see this coming sooner. Tessa and I met at a birthday party through a mutual friend. She was funny, confident, and had this no-nonsense attitude that I really liked. I had dated before, but no one ever clicked with me like she did. We hit it off fast, moved in together after a year, and everything just felt right. We were completely on the same page about careers, marriage, and even starting a family. She was a freelance graphic designer, and I worked as a project manager at a tech company, so our schedules lined up well. Life wasn't glamorous, but it was good. We had been talking about getting married for a while, and last year I finally proposed. Nothing extravagant, just a simple dinner at home, just the two of us. Tessa seemed overjoyed. She cried, hugged me, and immediately said yes. That night, we started planning a fall wedding, a small guest list in a beachside, beautiful venue. Everything was falling into place, or so I thought. The first red flags were small, so small that I ignored them. Tessa's excitement for wedding planning started fading after a few months. At first, she was all in, sending me Pinterest boards, obsessing over wedding dresses, and debating whether or not to use tulips or roses for centerpieces. Then suddenly, she just stopped caring. I'd ask, hey, have you picked up your bridesmaids yet? And she'd brush it off. Not yet. I'm still thinking about it. Same thing happened with her dress, the cake, the music. Everything she had once been excited over became something she wanted to postpone. There's still time, she'd say. At the time, I convinced myself it was just stress. Wedding planning can be overwhelming, right? And she was busy with work. I'd figured she'd snap out of it eventually. But what I didn't realize was that her lack of enthusiasm wasn't about the wedding. It was about us. Then came the moment that changed everything. One night, we were out with friends playing one of those dumb TikTok games. You know, the ones where you have to answer personal questions while keeping a straight face. It was all fun and games until someone asked, if you could relive one relationship, which would it be? Without missing a beat, Tessa answered, oh, probably Dylan. Just like that. Dylan, her college ex. The guy who cheated on her. The second those words left her mouth, the room fell silent. She let out an awkward laugh and tried to backtrack. I mean, not that I want to, it's just a part of me wanted to confront her right then and there. But we were surrounded by friends, so I just let it go. Later that night, when we were alone, I asked her about it. What was that about, Dylan? Why would you say that? She shrugged it off like it was nothing. It was just a dumb game, Liam. Don't take it so seriously, she said with a grin before changing the subject. I didn't push the issue. Honestly, I didn't want to start a fight over something that could have been just so minor. But deep down, it stuck with me. After that night, her behavior became harder to ignore. She was on her phone constantly, texting with a little smirk on her face. She started making vague excuses for why she suddenly couldn't spend time with me. Oh, sorry, I have a ton of work to catch up on tonight. Actually, I promised my mom I'd visit this weekend. Nothing was blatantly suspicious, but the excuses kept piling up. It felt like I was slowly becoming less of a priority. And then came the night that changed everything. It was a Friday night, and I got home early, excited to spend the evening with Tessa. I figured we'd order takeout and binge watch something, just a quiet, relaxing night together. But the moment I walked in, something felt off. She was sitting on the couch, laptop open. She wasn't working. She was just staring at the screen. Hey, I'm home, I said, trying to ease the tension. You're early, she replied, like it was a bad thing. I brushed it off and headed into the kitchen to start dinner, but the silence was suffocating. Normally, she'd ask how my day was, or she'd start rambling about hers, but tonight there was nothing. Finally, I turned around and said, is everything okay? She shut her laptop and looked up at me. Actually, there's something I need to talk to you about. My stomach dropped. You know that feeling when you know something terrible is about to happen, but you can't stop it? That was me, standing there like an idiot, spatula in hand. I walked over and sat across from her. All right, what's going on? She hesitated, like she was trying to find the right word. Then she just said it. I've been thinking a lot about us and about Dylan. I almost laughed. Dylan, are you serious? What about him? She bit her lip and wouldn't meet my eyes. I think I just need some time to figure things out. I'd like to take a break and see if there's still something there with him. I could not believe what I was hearing. You want to take a break to date your ex? She rushed to explain. It's not that, Liam. It's just, she said quickly, as if she could soften the blow. I just need to make sure I'm making the right choice with you. And if it doesn't work out, I promise I'll come back. And that's when I realized just how entitled she was. She genuinely believed I would just sit around and wait while she decided whether or not I was good enough. Something inside of me shifted in that moment. I didn't yell. I didn't lose my temper. I just sat there staring at her, wondering how the hell I hadn't seen this coming. What do you even say to something like that? Finally, I took a breath and asked, so what exactly does this break mean to you? I sounded calmer than I felt. She straightened up slightly. Like had she been waiting for this conversation. I think we need space to figure things out, she said. I'll take some time to see if my feelings for Dylan are real. And you can use this time to reflect on us too. Wait, so you need to go date your ex, but I need to sit here and reflect on us? What kind of backwards logic is that? She sighed, acting like I was the one being unreasonable. It's not about you doing something wrong, Liam. This is about me figuring out what I need. Her voice was too smooth. The way she spoke, the way she refused to meet my eyes. It was obvious she had already made up her mind. She wasn't asking for a discussion. She was telling me what was going to happen. And she just expecting me to accept it. You do realize how insane this sounds, right? Right? I muttered. You don't just put your fiance on hold while you go play What If with some guy who treated you like garbage. Her face tightened. For the first time, I saw just how stubborn she could be. I'm not asking for permission, Liam. I'm telling you what I need. That hit differently. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was angry. I stood up and started pacing, trying to calm myself down. So what, Tessa? You're just going to pack a bag and head over to Dylan's place? That's your big plan? No, she insisted. It's not like that. I don't know what it looks like yet, but I need clarity before we move forward. You need clarity, I repeated, letting out a bitter laugh. And what about what you owe me? We're engaged, Tessa. We're supposed to be building a life together. And now you're telling me you need to test drive your ex to make sure I'm good enough? I never said you weren't good enough, she snapped, her voice rising. But if we're going to spend the rest of our lives together, I have to be certain, and right now, I'm not. That was it. She wasn't just curious about Dylan. She was unsure about me. After 4 years together, after all of our plans, she still wasn't sure. And the worst part, she genuinely believed that this was a reasonable request, that I just sit here and wait while she figured out whatever nonsense was running through her head. I stopped pacing and really looked at her. You know what? I said, my tone neutral. Take your break. She blinked, clearly thrown off by how quickly I agreed. Liam, I'm not trying to hurt you. I need space to figure things out. I nodded, keeping my expression unreadable. All right, if that's what you need. She hesitated. It was like she expected me to argue or fight with her. When I didn't, she stood up, pulled out her laptop, and muttered, I'll stay at my mom's for a bit. This isn't forever. We'll talk when I've had some time. Okay, I replied simply. She paused, searching my face for a reaction. Then she disappeared into the bedroom. I could hear her rummaging around, tossing things into a bag. I sat on the couch, calm on the outside, but inside, my mind was already spinning. If she really wanted a break, fine, let her have it. A few minutes later, the front door closed behind her. Maybe she thought she was leaving me behind to wait and wander. She had no idea. I had zero intention of sitting around doing nothing. She could have her little fantasy, but I had other plans. This was not going to end the way she expected. Update 1. Thanks for all the support and advice on my last post. A lot has happened this week. So here's the update. First and foremost, I did not sit around waiting. Many of you said I needed to take action, and you were absolutely right. So that's exactly what I did. I called my best friend Noah. He's the kind of guy who doesn't sugarcoat things. And after I told him the full story, he showed up with pizza, and we spent the entire night strategizing. Dude, you know she's going to try to crawl back when it doesn't work out with Dylan, right? Noah said. And of course he was right. The more we talked, the more obvious it became that this wasn't about revenge. This was about taking back control of my life. Step 1, the house. Tessa loved acting like it was our home. Always talking about the decor, the curtains, the color schemes she picked. But what she conveniently forgot, the house is actually in my name. I'm the one who pays the mortgage. First thing Monday morning, I called a realtor. She came by, took a look at the place, and we listed it immediately. The market is hot, and I already have several potential buyers listed up. And the best part, Tessa has no idea. She probably still thinks I'm sitting around here in our house, waiting for her to figure things out. Step 2, erasing her presence from my life. Remember those live, laugh, love signs she insisted on hanging up? Gone. I threw them away. And the throw pillows she had to have, donated. Her clothes and personal belongings, I boxed them all up. But instead of just dumping them at her mom's house or making her come get them, I hired a moving company. They packed everything up, delivered it to her mom's doorstep, and left a simple note. Here's your stuff. Good luck with Dylan. Now, some of you might think that's petty, but I sure don't. I'm not being spiteful. I'm being efficient. She wanted space to think, so fine. She's got all the space in the world now, and now she has all the space she could ever need. And you want to know the most interesting part of this whole situation? Mutual friends started asking questions. Instead of playing the victim or bad-mouthing her, I just stated the truth. Tessa decided she needed to explore things with her ex before committing to marriage. I decided I deserve better than being someone's backup plan. You should see how people react to that. No drama, no accusations, just facts. It's amazing how quickly the story shifts when you don't try to control it. Meanwhile, I've been making moves at work. I applied for a position at our West Coast office, something I had been considering for a while. And now, if the house sells, which looks very likely, and I land this job, I'll be starting over on the other side of the country. And guess who's suddenly trying to reach me? Tessa. At first, it was a casual, hey, hope you're doing okay. Then, as she realized I wasn't just waiting around, her messages became more urgent. Yesterday, when she panicked when her mother told her the moving boxes had arrived. What are you doing? Why are you acting like this is over? I kept my response simple. Well, because it is, Tessa. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. She started crying, saying she just needed time to figure things out, that I was being too quick, that this wasn't what she meant when she asked for a break. I asked her, well, what did you expect, Tessa? That I'd sit here like a loyal puppy while you test drive your ex? She sobbed, but what if I realize you're the one I want? I shrugged. Then you'll have learned a valuable lesson about not taking people for granted. And then I hung up. Here's the thing. I'm not even angry anymore. Instead, I feel free. Every box I pack, every decision I make, it all feels like I'm reclaiming parts of myself I didn't even realize I'd given up. Noah came over yesterday to help me with the packing. After a while, he looked at me and said, you seem different, more focused. He's right. I am different. When Tessa first told me she wanted to explore things with Dylan, I thought my world was falling apart. Now, I realized it wasn't my world collapsing. It was just the false reality I'd been living in, finally crumbling. I have more moves in the works, but I'll save those for the next update. For now, I'll just say this. Sometimes, the best way to respond to being treated like an option is to remove yourself from their list entirely. Stay tuned. I have a feeling Tessa's little break isn't going to go as planned. Update 2. First off, thanks for all the support on my last update. A lot has happened since then, and things have escalated relocated big time. Remember how I applied for that West Coast position? Well, I got it. The timing couldn't be better. The house is under contract, closing is set for next month, and I'll be moving soon. But that's just the beginning, because the real entertainment, it's watching how Tessa's Dylan's exploration is unfolding. Through mutual friends, I found out that her grand reunion with Dylan isn't exactly the fairy tale she had imagined. Turns out, 4 years hasn't changed him much. He's still the same untrustworthy cheater he was in college. And guess what? She's just now figuring that out. But here's where it gets really good. Tessa has been trying to control the narrative on social media. She's been posting vague, inspirational quotes about finding yourself and following your heart. So I decided to play the same game, but with a twist. I made a single post, excited to announce I've accepted a position in San Francisco. Sometimes when one door closes, better ones open. Looking forward to this new chapter. And then I sat back and watched. The comments and messages started flooding in. People congratulated me, asked me about the move, and of course, they started wondering about Tessa. I kept my answers simple and direct. We're no longer together. She wanted to explore other options, so I'm exploring mine too. And just like that, the entire narrative shifted. Remember those friends who were on the fence about everything? Well, watching the way I handled things changed their minds completely. Handling this with grace, while Tessa shared cryptic quotes about finding herself, completely shifted the atmosphere. Then came the professional consequences. Tessa's freelance design work relied heavily on referrals and networking. Sarah, 29F, a mutual contact in the tech industry who often referred clients to Tessa, reached out to me. I need to know what happened. Tessa's saying this is just a temporary break for personal growth, but something feels off. Over coffee, I shared Tessa's note about wanting to date Dylan. Sarah's reaction said it all. She didn't buy Tessa's story. By the end of the week, multiple clients postponed their projects with Tessa. Not because I said anything bad, but honestly, who wants to work with someone who treats commitment so lightly? Tessa felt the shift. Her texts became more frequent and frantic. Why are you telling people about Dylan? You're ruining my reputation. This isn't fair. I just needed time to think. I responded to her final message. You got what you wanted. Time and space. How I spend mine is no longer your concern. Then came the turning point. Dylan, in all his wisdom, posted a photo of them together at the restaurant where Tessa and I had our first. It was obvious she was trying to rewrite our history with him. It was both sad and funny. The post didn't stay up long, but the damage was done. Friends saw it, and the few who had supported Tessa's finding herself narrative lost respect for her. Even her own sister reached out to me. I'm so sorry about how she's handling this. You deserve better. The most satisfying part, I didn't have to be vengeful. I simply lived my life openly and honestly, while Tessa tried to play both sides. The truth has a way of coming out. Then yesterday, she showed up at my office. Apparently, Dylan had already revealed his true colors, flirting with other women, and began his same old reliable self. She was crying. I made a huge mistake, she sobbed. I was scared of commitment. I thought I needed to see if there was something better out there, but I was wrong. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. I looked at her calmly. No, Tessa, the best thing that ever happened to me was you showing your true colors before we got married. She tried to argue, saying we could fix things, that she'd go to counseling, that she'd prove she could be trusted again. I shook my head. You don't get it. This isn't about Dylan anymore. This is about you thinking you could keep me as a backup while you explored your options. That's not love. That's convenience. She left my office distraught, but I felt more at peace than ever. The house closes next week. Most of my belongings are packed, and my new life in San Francisco starts in a month. Some people think I'm being too harsh. Everyone makes mistakes, they say. But this wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. Every time she texted Dylan, every time she lied about where she was, every second she planned to put our relationship on hold. Those were all deliberate choices. Now, I'll provide another update once the move is complete, but I'll leave you with this. Sometimes the best revenge isn't even getting even. It's getting better. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Update 3. Thank you for following my journey. This will be my final update, and I have some exciting news to share. San Francisco is everything I'd hoped it would be. My new apartment has an amazing view of the bay, and the tech scene here is incredible. The team at my new office is great. It's refreshing to be around people who prioritize growth and innovation over drama. But let's wrap up what happened back home. The house sold for more than the asking price, and the closing went smoothly. Tessa didn't believe I'd actually sold it until she drove by and saw the new owners moving in. And then it got even better. Remember Dylan? He reached out to me. Out of all people, Dylan sent a long message trying to explain himself. He claimed he never meant to cause problems, and that Tessa was the one who reached out months before she even asked for a break, meaning she had been planning this little exploration for quite some time. For months, she had been messaging Dylan, carefully setting up her backup plan just in case. And the irony, Dylan ended things with her because, in his words, if she could do this with you, she could do it to anyone. Meanwhile, Tessa's professional downfall has been brutal. Remember all those clients she had lined up? Most of them found other designers. Not because I said anything, but because word spreads in this industry. One of her biggest clients even contacted me directly. We heard what happened with your engagement. We're looking for someone who can actually commit to long-term projects. Do you know any reliable designers? I recommended a talented acquaintance of mine who got the contract. Karma, I suppose. Then Tessa's social media meltdown has been something else. First, the melancholy quotes about losing your quote-unquote soulmate. Then the angry posts about how toxic people can't handle growth. And finally, the desperate attempts to prove how happy she is. The best one, she announced she was starting her own design firm. 3 days later, she was sending out job applications. Last week, her sister reached out again. Apparently, Tessa had been staying with their parents, saying she needs time to heal from our breakup. Her sister's exact words, she really thought you'd wait for her. When you sold the house and moved, it completely shattered her fantasy. That right there was the most satisfying moment. She genuinely believed I'd be sitting around waiting. Instead, I walked away. away, and she had no idea what to do next. The funniest moment? During a video call with some old friends, someone mentioned seeing Tessa at a coffee shop, struggling to explain to a potential client why her portfolio website was down. Apparently, she forgot that I was the one who set it up and maintained it. When the hosting expired, she couldn't figure out how to restore it. Not my problem anymore. Meanwhile, my new life is coming together perfectly. I've joined a rock climbing club, started learning Spanish, and even adopted a dog from a local shelter. His name is Zeus. And honestly, he's a way better companion than my ex-fiance ever was. The tech community here has been incredibly welcoming. Last week, I was invited to speak at a developer conference, an opportunity I never would have had if I stayed back home. It's amazing what you can accomplish when you're not dragging dead weight. One last interaction with Tessa. She emailed me asking for some old photos from our shared cloud storage. Too bad for her. I had already downloaded what I wanted and deleted the account weeks ago. Her email read, "I know you're trying to erase me from your life, but you can't just delete our memories. Those 4 years meant something." My response was short and simple. "You're right. Those years taught me exactly what I don't want in a partner. Thanks for the lesson." Some mutual friends think I'm being too harsh. You should be more understanding. She just had a moment of confusion. But that's the thing. It wasn't a moment. It was a calculated decision to keep me as her backup plan while she chased after something she thought was better. And the biggest lesson I've learned, sometimes the worst things that happen to you lead to the best outcome. If Tessa hadn't revealed her true colors, I might have married her, only to discover her real nature years later, maybe with kids involved. Instead, I'm living in a beautiful city with an amazing job, making new friends, and feeling genuinely excited for the future. The pain of betrayal has been replaced with gratitude for the bullet I dodged. So to everyone who followed this journey, thank you. Your support helped me stay strong when I could have been wavered. And for anyone going through a similar situation, remember this: when someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Don't wait around for them to change their mind about you. Life is too short to be someone's backup plan after all. Sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away and build something better. That's it for now. This chapter of my life is officially closed, and I couldn't be more excited for the next one. Take care, and thank you for everything. Subscribe to Reddit Family Karma.